What's going on, Guardians? And today we tackle Toland the Shattered, very famous name in Destiny lore. Things that you might know about him without any further background or any actual looking up. If you know the exotic Bad Juju, he was the creator. He was also a warlock, and what he's famous for is his study for the darkness, or of the darkness. You could say that he actually was obsessed with the darkness, which is kind of an understatement. He eventually went mad because of the darkness. With many other guardians like him, people become a little bit strange when they study such things. And just like Osiris, he ended up being exiled from the city. In some of his studies, he did find out how exactly ogres were made. And he says this: when a god's will is met with the force, its might will be unleashed in form of those raging beasts we call the ogre, monsters bred of pain, tormented by the light. Nothing but hatred for all those who bring its suffering forth. He was talking to Eris Morn during this, and she replied, "And how do you know this?" Toland said, "It was told to me." She said, "By the speaker?" He said, "No, by the darkness itself." Whether the darkness actually spoke to him, or he was just a little bit loopy, it's all up to interpretation. But after he was exiled from the city, he was known to be an expert on the forbidden Hive arcana. And because the war on the moon against Crota was just about to be waged, or was waging at this point, Praxic Warlock Ariana 3, who I did cover in the Eris Morn video, which you can go check out in the link below, recruited him to be a part of this 6 Guardian raid to go into the Hellmouth and search for Crota. Now, I assume you all know that Eris Morn was assumed to be the only survivor, and one of the things that she does say is that she never did see Toland die. She may have been the only one to come back, but doesn't mean that she was the only one to live. Toland just never wanted to come back. Apart from being exiled from the city, he just kind of left. So they assumed him to be dead. Recently in Destiny, you will come across some messages by Toland that have been discovered when you go through some of the new missions in the Taken King. He actually does survive in the Hive's Ascendant realm. Whether it is now, or was it from the past, we don't really know. But he attempts to communicate to the Guardian by unknown means. He's not very straightforward. He likes to make things a bit of a secret and mysterious. He says he takes a debased joy in speaking again to small human form heads. Clearly he has very cocky and full of himself attitude. But I guess that's what happens when you become this sort of expert on these things and you study them for your entire life and you have the full grasp of where everyone stands. Toland had many discoveries from the darkness and the Hive. They can be reached through his journal, which Eris Morn does hold, or the memories of dead ghosts that you can pick up. His studies led him to conclude that the darkness was the evolutionary endpoint of the universe, kind of like how there needs to be a balance in nature, and that its campaign of destruction was to ensure that nothing could ever rise up to challenge it. It's almost like the universe has a mind of its own, and the universe is kind of like this king of everything, the darkness. The darkness tries to destroy anything that comes in anywhere near the power that it holds. Toland even claimed to be able to communicate with the darkness, as I said earlier, how the darkness told him about how ogres were able to come into existence. He had an increasingly morbid curiosity for Hive rituals. One of them was Ur-Yut. Now this is when they were alive, and as you know in the Crota end raid, you do come across Ur-Yut. And there is a Grimoire card all about that, and what he tried to do is he tried to become friends with the deathsinger Ur-Yut. And before that, it goes a little something like this. This is all from the point of Toland. "Ariana, let's sing. Sing with me." No, you're a rattling machine. "Not yet, it's too soon. We don't know the words. We'll learn the song down there. We can learn it from her. She comes up from the deep dark places where Greater Hive await to sing it to us. And here's a puzzle for you. The song is death. To hear it is to die. To know the words is mortal." Oh, good point. Ariana, death is just a word, isn't it? A catch-all term for failure to go on. Nothing spiritual, nothing with its own quiddity. We all died once, and it did not prove insurmountable. But what if, listen. What if death were reified? Described in its totality, made autonomous and universal, separate from any context or condition. What if she could invoke the ending of anything? How then she know the song and sing it without herself dying? Perhaps they know a way to make themselves part of the song, part of something vast and burning that rots and peels into ash, but never ever ends. Perhaps she has engineered this for him, and pinned his power up against the quiddity of death itself. I am terribly curious to know. Although I just reset everything that Toland spoke to Ariana about, it's kind of weird trying to say it, because his voice is out there. He does have a voice. You can listen to it in one of the missions as you come across some artifacts. Moving forward to when they actually got to Ur-Yut, unfortunately the deathsinger's song destroyed his body. His consciousness survived in the Hive netherworld, and he would watch the Guardians' progress in his war against Oryx. Regarding their victories, a simple an extension of how the Hive rule through sword logic. If you don't know what sword logic is, it's pretty much becoming more powerful and defeating each other over and over again. Just like how Oryx and his sisters had this sword logic. Oryx, if you don't know much about him, there's a video also about him. You can go and see that. Oryx would kill his sister would kill him, and it would ultimately just be this huge loop, and they would be stronger and stronger and stronger. Toland was infuriated, however, when the Guardian killed Oryx, but refused to take up the mantle as the new Taken King. Which I don't know if you want to view as selfish or as a stupid idea as to take Oryx, but it is possible. You could have become the Taken King yourself. I don't know why that wasn't an option. I guess Bungie doesn't want you to be too overpowered yet. They always want you to be the underdog. So even though I did say that Toland did live on, and we didn't know if he was alive in the Ascendant realm, he was killed, but he really wasn't. There's a lot of things in Destiny, which is kind of like Star Wars when you think about it, with Qui-Gon Jinn and immortality, that although someone can die, they never really are dead. Their soul lives on, kind of like with Praedyth, and now with Toland, maybe even Osiris. Osiris is either dead or alive, we don't really know. I want to assume that he's alive. But all those events lead up to now, where even though you're going through Crota's end raid, and you do end up killing Eris. I don't know if I'm spoiling anything, because most of you are Destiny fans, so you probably should have done this. Even though we did kill Eris, we didn't really kill Eris. In the mission Last Rites, which takes place after Crota's end, you can actually still find her. Another thing about Toland the Shattered is that his Bad Juju exotic pulse rifle is made up of, well, we don't know. We don't know what kind of bones they are. You can argue they're Ahamkara, but Ahamkara are very large dragons, and these don't look quite like dragons. And that's pretty much what Destiny does to open up many other doors that they have yet to open themselves. Destiny is a vastly growing universe, and it may be doubled, tripled, quadrupled in size in 1 or 2 years. Hopefully. That's a big statement. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Toland the Shattered has left quite a legacy, being one of the few Guardians to actually travel out, and may he do a lot more than most of us Guardians have done, even though we've just killed Oryx. He's not quite on par with Osiris. Osiris does have a cult following, where Toland is kind of a weirdo. He's not the greatest kind of guy. He's very obsessed with the darkness, and he views humans, Exos, and Awoken as tiny little beings. They're not really anything to him, even though he is one himself. But wherever Toland has gone, hopefully we can actually follow in his footsteps and find out what Bad Juju is made out of, and what else he's uncovered. And maybe we ourselves can communicate with the darkness. Whether that will drive us mad, it might be worth it. It's good storytelling. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Later, Guardians.